The courtroom was silent, every eye fixed on the confident police officer taking the stand. His words carried authority, but behind that calm face hid a lie. He spoke about a reckless woman he had arrested, painting her as rude, dangerous, and disrespectful. The crowd nodded, believing him without question. Yet sitting quietly in the back, that same woman, calm, graceful, and steady, knew the truth. Her name was Alicia Warren, and she wasn't just an ordinary citizen. She worked for the Department of Justice as a secret government inspector, investigating corruption cases like this one, but the officer didn't know that. As he built his web of lies, Alicia simply watched, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal who she really was. Alicia had been pulled over weeks earlier for what the officer claimed was erratic driving. In truth, she had been driving well within the speed limit. The moment he saw her credentials, his tone shifted, hostile, condescending. He confiscated her license, claimed her car smelled of something illegal, and forced her out in the rain. She didn't argue, she observed, because this was part of her mission, to evaluate reports of racial bias and abuse of power. But when the officer later filed a false report accusing her of resisting arrest, Alicia realized this case wasn't routine. He was not just bending the rules, he was breaking the law to protect his ego. That's when she decided to let him finish digging his own hole. The day of the trial arrived like a storm. The officer stood tall, swearing under oath that Alicia had shouted, refused commands, and even tried to drive away. His confidence filled the courtroom. The judge listened carefully, the audience whispering as his story flowed like a well-rehearsed script. Alicia remained calm, taking slow notes. Every sentence he spoke was another thread she would later pull apart. Her lawyer hadn't said a word yet, because the strategy was simple: let the officer build his lie in public. Only then would the truth be exposed, in front of everyone watching. It wasn't just about clearing her name, it was about setting a precedent that no badge stood above honesty. When it was Alicia's turn to testify, the air shifted. She walked to the stand, shoulders straight, eyes unwavering. The judge asked for her name, and that's when the first surprise hit. The courtroom murmured as she introduced herself fully. Inspector Alicia Warren, Department of Justice Internal Affairs. The officer's smirk vanished instantly. Turned pale, gripping the edge of the table. Alicia began to speak, not with anger, but with measured authority. She described the traffic stop, the false accusations, the violation of procedure, and then presented the bodycam footage, which she had legally obtained through her department. Every lie the officer told was caught on tape. The truth was no longer her word against his, it was undeniable evidence. The courtroom was no longer quiet. Gasps filled the room as the video played. The officer's confident tone from earlier was gone, replaced by visible panic. His lawyer tried to object, but the judge allowed. On screen, the officer was seen making false claims, ignoring standard protocol, and speaking to Alicia in a tone far from professional. The people who had doubted her were now silent. Alicia didn't gloat, she simply looked at the men who had tried to ruin her. This, she said gently, is why truth matters. For years she had worked undercover to expose officers who betrayed the trust of their communities, and now, one more case was complete, right in front of the public eye. After the footage ended, the judge dismissed the charges against Alicia immediately. But the story didn't end there. The room buzzed with questions. Reporters whispered, realizing this was more than a simple traffic case, it was a wake-up call. The officer faced suspension and a full internal investigation. Alicia gathered her papers calmly, thanked the court, and left without a word. Outside, as cameras followed her, she didn't give interviews or seek fame. Action was justice, not attention. Inside, though, she felt the quiet satisfaction of knowing that integrity had prevailed. She had turned a moment of humiliation into a lesson for everyone watching. Weeks later, Alicia received a quiet commendation from the department. Actions had led to new policies for fair investigations, and her courage inspired others to speak out. The officer eventually confessed, admitting that pride had led him to lie. Alicia never saw him again, but she hoped he learned what truth could cost when ignored. She drove home one evening, the city lights reflecting on her windshield. She thought about all the people who had been silenced by false authority. Her voice, calm and firm, carried one message: justice may move slowly, but it always arrives. Screen fades to black, leaving viewers with a single thought: never underestimate the quiet strength of truth.